welcome back to Why This Film, the podcast where we reach back into your childhood, pluck out a movie, give it a rewatch, and then have a chat about it. I'm Emily Slade, and welcome back.
You watched it so many times before, and now you're gonna watch it again. But it's been so many years since you last saw it, and now you show it to your friends, and they're like, What?
What am I watching?
What? Why this film?
And I'm joined today by Tess. Hello, Tess.
Hello, Emily. All the way in London. Well, you're I'm all the way in California. You're in London.
I'm all the way in London.
Yeah.
And Tess is from the Ongoing Comic Discussion Podcast. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, Ongoing Comicbook Discussion Podcast. OCD Podcast for short.
OCD.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We review comic books each week, and my buddy is a comic book guru, and I am a comic book rookie, and we just kind of meet in the middle and have fun discussions. And you had him on this podcast, didn't you?
I did. Yes, I did. I've got all of you, Blast from the Past Network.
Yes.
You're all here. You're all here.
A bunch of movie nerds, yeah.
I love it. I've been having such a good time talking to you guys. And I'm very excited because your chosen movie is 1999's Superstar.
Yeah!
The IMDb breakdown is: a nerdy Catholic schoolgirl, Mary Katherine Gallagher, dreams of superstardom. That's pretty accurate.
Yes. Yeah.
What's your relationship with this movie?
Well, so when I was a kid, and I still do, I love SNL, and I get a lot of my, like, wacky characters from SNL, and I knew that this was a well-known movie, and one day I was in Kmart, which is, like, a superstore around here, and there was a bin that was, like, a $5 bin, and I saw Superstar in there, and I was like, I was, like, 13 or 14, I was like, I got $5. I could do that.
Nice.
And I picked it up, and then my sister and I, she's 5 years younger than me, we just watched it constantly, and we memorized the whole thing, and I think that I mimic a lot of my my characters, I could say, off of Mary Katherine Gallagher, because I feel like I relate to her, but I was obsessed with that movie.
Amazing. You've answered all my questions already, because the first thing that comes up when you watch this movie is SNL Studios, which I didn't even know they, like, branched out and made movies, so I was like, oh, okay, so I guess it's, like, an SNL character, cool. And then it's a 15, and I was going to say, I wondered how old you were, because it is bizarrely riding that line of, like, this isn't appropriate for kids, but, like, I wonder how adults would get on with it. It's, like, that really weird, like, perfect 15 rating.
Yeah.
I had no idea that, I know Molly Shannon from The Grinch, mainly.
Yes,
She's,
you're
like,
right,
the mom in The Grinch. And I'd never seen her on SNL. I'm very new to SNL. So I had no idea this was a character from SNL. So I watched the movie and I was like, okay. And then I went back and I watched a lot of her original sketches as this character. And then I went back to the movie and I was like, I get it now. I'm on board.
See, I didn't do the SNL skits before. I didn't know this was a character at all. I just kind of jumped right into it. But yeah, SNL, they do that a lot. They'll make up characters and they'll be like, hey, this make a really good movie. Like, the one with, now I'm blanking, but there are a bunch of movies made off of SNL characters, which actually, it's better for that because they already start with a fan base, so they're already off to a really good start.
Yeah, it's such a good idea, and this character is so good, and she's so funny in SNL, and I think they managed to translate it to a full-length feature pretty well, to be honest, because she's got so much about her, but and I think it's because I'm, like, 28 coming to it. I think a 13 to 14-year-old is easier to sort of take what's happening and be like, yeah, absolutely, amazing. Whereas I think it took me a bit longer to be like, why is she so awful? Like, why is this happening? This is so cringy. And then, as I say, when I introduced myself properly to the character, I found it a lot easier to come at it as an adult. Because it is a funny one if you're not the sort of target age audience, and if you hadn't. But I know that's my opinion. Like, maybe other people are like, what are you talking about? I'm, like, 31 and I've just seen this movie for the first time and it was amazing. And it is it is funny. You've got Molly Shannon as Mary Katherine Gallagher, which is a mouthful of a name. It's brilliant. You've got Will Ferrell as the, like, cool kid in school. Yeah. I mean, he is just so watchable and wonderful. He can do no wrong.
He is, yeah, he's great.
And the mom from Mary Poppins.
Yes, good catch. Good catch. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, you're so right.
She's brilliant. She's a standout character for me. But yeah, I mean, I can completely understand how this would have affected your, like, comedy. And I mean, it was really wonderful seeing a woman comedian put forward a character successfully and in a feature-length film. Like, it, especially back in 1999, I think that definitely wasn't really happening. I mean, SNL obviously had females in the cast, but
a lot of the characters in the 90s of the girls, I think it was like a thing to be skinny and stupid. Yeah. If your character was funny as a female if you were like talking like a valley girl, like what am I doing? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna kiss all the boys, whatever. But like, this is the reason why she stands out so much and probably the reason why it's cringy is because a lot of us girls that never really fit in, like, we were just weird and wacky, and I'm sure you can relate as an actor. It's just like, you gotta find your people, and she found her people in this, and it's kind of inspiring. It's like, no matter who you are, you can find your people, you can find love, like, just be you, you know?
It's so true, and I think that part of me was, like, not being able to deal because I saw myself so much in this story.
Oh, yeah.
And you grow up, as you say, with these stories that are a lot more perfect, and, like, the sort of nerdy girl is the one where they just take her glasses off and then she's suddenly like, oh, hey, I was hot all along.
Yes, I hate those.
That's me. If they could only just take my glasses off, they would understand. She never once takes her glasses off.
No.
And she looks how she looks, and she is who she is, and she doesn't compromise. She doesn't have a stupid makeover. She doesn't come out. Like, even the fucking Breakfast Club gave them a stupid makeover, and, like, it's such a letdown. But this does not do that. Even when she's got her, like, she's in her own fantasy and she's the most successful on the red carpet, she's still wearing her, like, Catholic schoolgirl uniform, and her hair normal. Like, she doesn't even...
She doesn't add anything, really. It's just her, right? Yeah.
Because she's just happy being herself, and she wants to be the superstar. And it was endearing, because the character, it must have been strange to translate what's... the character sort of had their shtick that worked really well in these 5-minute skits, to then elongate that into this feature-length narrative. Must have been... I don't know if it was tricky, but it worked. They gave her more heart, and they gave her more to her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, like, there's this improv school called the Groundlings that Will Ferrell and a lot of famous SNL actors where they went to before SNL, and a lot of people from SNL from that school. And I went to that school for a couple of years, and it was so much fun because the genders are they're blended together. They actually encourage women to not play girls all the time. Like, just be what you want to be. Like, I used to play trash women. It's my favorite character to play. Just like these gross trash women, just like the hunchback and the scratchy. And so they come from schools like that where they're embraced for whoever the hell they want to be. And then they go into SNL, and I mean, you can be, again, whatever character you want to be. And honestly, like, the best characters are bred from improv, as you know. They're bred from sketches that you make, as you know. And that's where I think she got a lot of her heart, because she was made from, like, it was a piece of her. Like, you know what I mean?
No, definitely. And you can see that. You can, like, she embeds this character so wholly. You know that that's who she was when she was younger, even just for a moment.
Yeah.
So the sort of traits of the character, if you haven't seen the skits or if you haven't seen the movie, she's very bizarre, she's very clumsy. she has this wonderful shyness to her because she's insistent on becoming a superstar and being the most famous and successful spotlight-taking person. But then she has such a sort of small body language, like juxtaposition of the shyness, which is hilarious. My favourite thing about her is that she'll get through any moment by being like, I would like to express myself by reciting this monologue from a movie. And she just like goes into the monologue. And I was like, is that me? Is that...
Do I look
what
like
am
that?
I doing on screen?
Yeah, right? Exactly. She just like will just go off like, if I had telekinesis like Sissy Spacek, I would kill you. Like she just goes off. Yeah, because she's the rewind girl at good old ye old like Blockbuster rental places.
Yeah, like VHS stores. Which was that a job?
Yes, sure. Oh, sure. For like high school kids. Oh yeah, of course.
That's
you got it.
Fair.
I mean, when you're making like $5 an hour, like it's fine.
Who cares, man? I honestly, when she was like, "I'm the rewind girl at the local like video store," I was like, "That's a job? I could have done that? What the fuck?
Wait a minute.
My calling has passed. DVD. Yeah, it shook me up. I didn't even realize that was the thing, and it completely makes sense now. But obviously, that's where Be Kind Rewind comes from. But if they did, they would have put these poor kids out of a job. So it's like, no, let me watch these movies backwards.
Right?
Which must have been, I was just like, that really distracted me for such a long time because I was like, I would have killed. I was doing like a stupid paper round and being fired as a waitress at a local pub. Like, let me rewind movies. Super cool.
That's funny.
Yeah. So the sort of general plot is that she wants to enter the talent show, but every single part of this movie has that such bizarre humour, which again, I think because I wasn't sure what I was going into, I tried not to research anything before I watched it. Mm-hmm. It did take me a while to sort of be like, okay, here's where we are. And by the time they'd repeated that, they were torn apart by a gang of hammerhead sharks.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
I died. It's so funny.
I love the small humor in it, like how she constantly makes out with things because she really wants her first kiss to be perfect. And didn't it kind of make you uncomfortable when she's like getting really intimate with the tree and the stop sign? You're like, stop. It's so cringy, and like the cringiest part is that you do see you and all of your teenage friends in it. Like it's based in such truth and honesty. Yes.
Whilst being completely horrendous to witness, that you're just like, please stop. And she would always make sure that there was that nun like witnessing everything that she was doing, just to make it. I was like, it's enough that we're here. Please don't stop.
Oh my god, there's somebody watching. I know. And even all the way to like the bad boy Slater, like on his motors. I think it's so funny that this whole movie is a bunch of 35-year-olds playing 16-year-olds.
Yeah. I love it. I was going to mention that because you sort of, obviously like Greece is renowned for having like 40-year-olds play 16-year-olds, but you kind of forgive it because it's Greece and it has this like vibe about it where it's Greece, they can do what they want. But this was so clearly, and they really made a point with the way they cleverly designed their costumes and like the people that they chose specifically. Will Ferrell's made a career out of playing characters that are too young for his face, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And Molly Shannon's the same. She seemed to have been born looking like she had already given birth to 3 children. Like, do you know what I mean? She looked like a mature woman.
Yeah.
And she's playing this 16-year-old with this tiny Catholic schoolgirl skirt. And Slater as well is so clearly like pushing 40, and it's really bizarre, but it's when you let yourself just be like, this is what's happening. It's so funny when the sort of teachers almost look younger than the students half the time.
Yeah. You really just have to let it go, though. Like you just let go all of being like, but wait, and it's like you have to let that go because everything that makes you cringy or everything that seems odd to you, it actually adds to the pile of comedy to this movie.
Yeah,
you know,
it does. And I really, as I say, once I chilled out a bit, I was like. SNL, and went back, I suddenly was like, oh, this movie's fucking hilarious. Like, and it's so wonderful because you've never seen anything like it before, and you've probably never seen anything like it since, and it's such a joy that it was allowed to be made and, like, given money.
Yes.
The evil cheerleader, because there always is one.
Always.
Is fucking Meredith Blake from the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap.
Parent Trap, yep.
I had no idea she'd even been in any other movie. I thought she was just created solely for the Parent Trap because she's so perfect in that movie. I can't even tell you the actress's name, but I adore her, and she's on form here.
Did you notice in the Parent Trap, in the hiking scene, she drinks a bottle of water and it says it's Evian water?
Because of this?
Yeah, because her name's Evian, right? And I was like, I didn't get that till much later, and I was like, oh my god, genius!
I'm gonna look out for that next time I watch that.
Right.
I adore her. Yeah, she's called Evian, so there's wonderful jokes like, go drink a bottle of yourself, Evian.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's the best one.
And then the, like, priest turns around and he's like, go drink a bottle of yourself? Mary Katherine Gallagher. Oh my goodness, it's so funny.
Good, yeah.
She's brilliant. She's got this, like, and again, I love this trope of the 90s where you had the, like, Barbie doll, and then you had the, like, two of Barbie's friends. So you've got Evian, and then you've got her, like, two friends, and they're all, like, color-coded.
Yes.
So she's always in, like, pink, there's one always in green, and there's one always in orange. And you, like, try and get the sort of skin tones to sort of go across the thing as well, and, like, it's awful, but I love it.
And it's so true too, like, you know, as the wacky weird kid in high school, it's like there's always those cheerleader girls who want to make fun of you because they want to be like you. I figured that out much later, that those girls, they just wanted to be as free as you were, you know?
Yeah, they did. They probably felt trapped into following these conventions, and I don't know if it was an obligation set down by when they first looked in the mirror and they realized they were hot, or if that, like, they were panicking that if they didn't do this, no one would like them.
Sure.
It's bizarre. I'd be fascinated to know, because sort of the high school trope is changing now. When you look at much newer shows like Sex Education on Netflix, the high school hierarchy is still there,
right?
But it's no longer the jocks and the cheerleaders. It's now sort of like the vegans and the, like, I don't know, band kids, but, like, different than, I don't know, they're all still there, but they're a little bit more woke now, I guess.
Sure.
We've sort of moved on. But we are firmly in the 90s, moving steadily into the 2000s, where the groups expanded even more. So we get to the Mean Girls type cafeteria. I read a lot of reviews that also enjoyed the sort of play on the Catholic school aspect of it. I never went to a Catholic school. I don't really know. Is that, like, a common thing in America where there are lots of, like, Catholic schools? Is that, or is, like, because I'm sure there's some in Britain, but, like.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few here on the West Coast, but they're mostly on the East Coast, I think. It's not really a big thing anymore. I was never around that. Actually, there's one up the street. What am I talking about? But I don't see them around, you know. It was like, I think that, again, like, it added to the comedy of it. It was like they kept doing a lot of Jesus puns, and there was one girl in the class that, like, worshiped the devil, and it was like ongoing thing.
Every time she spoke, they were like, stop.
I liked her talent show audition. The devil went down to Georgia. And she started singing that song. They're like, okay, we're stopping.
We gotta stop that right there. Glynis Johns, I think is her name. She's the mum from Mary Poppins, and she plays the grandma here that raises Mary Katherine Gallagher. She's genuinely wonderful. She's a superstar. She has a wonderful montage at the end of the movie where she's training them all up for the talent show, which is so beautifully done because it has so many. I love a good throwaway joke where they're confident in it enough that they will just do it and then, like, let it pass and respect you enough to be like, you got it. We know you got it. It's funny. It's great. And when she's like, she goes all military on them, where she's like, if I say this, you do it. If I say that, you do it. And one of them's like, what is one of those? And she's like, well, you better fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
Just,
when I say
brilliant.
booga booga, what's that, Grandma? I don't know, but you better fucking figure it out. So good. So good. Yeah.
It's so good. And she just oozes, like, this charm and this, like, hilarity, and energy as well.
Yeah, I like how she stands up for Mary Katherine Gallagher in the office. And she's like, I don't think my granddaughter's crazy. I think that you guys are, basically, she was saying, you guys are suppressing her from her amazing superstardom. She's a superstar.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at her. She's a young Elizabeth Taylor.
Yes.
It's brilliant. It's so good. Blah, blah, blah. That dog is adorable.
Oh, yeah.
Quote
the ugly dog on the ugliest house with the ugliest dog. Yeah. Francis. Yeah, it was pretty good. What did you think about the dance montages that would randomly pop up in between? It was like a musical all of a sudden.
It was. I think I was holding my breath through, because she does a really big one in the cafeteria at one point. And the whole time I was just like, oh my god, please don't come back to reality and have done something incredibly stupid in front of everyone. And, like, luckily she hadn't. She'd just sort of been a bit weird, and this guy's like, well, come back, what's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I mainly was just like,
Yeah, my sister and I actually took a summer full day and memorized that entire dance. Oh. And I still have it in my head.
Oh my god.
We were watching it, and my husband was next to me, and I'm, like, doing the, like, dance, like, oh my god, yes! I remember it!
That's so good. I think I would have been exactly the same if I'd have watched this at that age. That's 100% what my, like, key focus would have been on, to be like, let's learn this.
Yeah.
Because it is brilliant. It's so much fun, and again, it completely represents the kind of shit that goes on in your head when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
So have you watched it a lot since you were 13?
I've watched it every now and then. I was even like, do I need to watch it again? And then I was like, when was the last time I watched it? Nah, let's watch it. And then I started watching it, and I was like, it doesn't matter what age you watch it or you watch it again, because your mind is constantly evolving and you're growing older and wiser and whatnot. So I was like, definitely had a different mindset. I don't think I've watched it. I'm 29. I haven't watched it since I was like 25 probably. Like, it's been a while, but still it's in my head. But I looked at it very differently, where I was like, my niece who's 15, I was like, she needs to watch this, because she gets too like insecure, and she's a wacky artsy kid, but she's just, I worry about her sometimes because she's so in her phone, and she like has to be so kind of part of the scene. And I'm like, girl, watch this movie. I call her out sometimes, like, girl, it's okay to be you. Just be you, honey. It's so annoying. Like, you know, in this world, they just push girls, young girls, to be these skinny Barbie dolls and be plasticky. And
still,
I'm like still, yes.
When we were kids. It's like been 20 odd years since then. Like, why is it still happening? And with the rise of social media, I mean, we were lucky that, like, we couldn't be on the internet when your mom was on the landline. Like, thank God, because I think I would have just been sucked into this vortex of, like, self-hate, even more so than I already was. Right? And, like, do you know what I mean? Like, the bullying could outreach from strangers as well as the people that you saw face-to-face at school, because you would let yourself into these places and set yourself up for that sort of thing. And, God, I couldn't imagine. I don't think Instagram should be allowed.
Yes, I know what you're going to say, and I agree.
Right? Like, do you know what I mean? You should be, like, 21. Like, wait until you are legally allowed to drink before going on Instagram.
Yeah, and then don't. Like, it's just people, girls, it's for girls, because there's so much pressure for girls, guys too, but girls have this thing in their brain that I think is different from guys, which makes us an awesome combination in this world. But it's like we think we constantly compare, we constantly look ahead, we have like high anxiety, and we think that we have to be a certain way so that boys can like us, or girls can like us, or whatever you want to be. And it's just like, I just want to shake them and be like, wake up. Wake up.
And it's completely the patriarchy. Like, just to, like, throw it out onto them. But it is, we're taught from a young age to compete with each other, because if the focus is with each other, we can't see what else is happening in the big wide world and how we're being oppressed, for want of a better word, in this way. And it's so frustrating, and it's so frustrating that you don't realize it until much later on, and then when you do start realizing it, you know, I always found it frustrating that I couldn't even articulate it, because you start spouting things like that and people are like, hush hush, you silly little feminist, like, oh, go burn your bra. And like they have a way to crush you at every single angle. Even once you've become empowered, you still have to learn how to fight their battle their way. And it's so annoying, especially when your personality, like mine, isn't the type to be like, oh, that's really interesting that you feel that. Why don't you tell me a bit more? Okay, well, I don't really understand. Can you explain that a bit more? That clever, calm way. I'm just like, fuck it, just stop it.
Yeah, you're not hearing what I'm saying. What if you just pause and put your ego under your butt and go away? Like, it would be better. Like,
and then they're like, you've lost the argument. And I'm like, fuck!
I know. It's you just want to punch people. But you can't. You have to learn to finesse it. And I feel like I feel like this is evolving into an amazing, like, powerful warrior female that we were meant to be. Yeah. And it's not boys against girls. I like boys. I like girls. Who can, like, it's not that. The fact is that we're still competing with girls and girls. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason to compete. Let's collaborate, man. Yeah. But anyway, I feel like Superstar. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah. Like, I was going to bring it back. Like, 100%, like, I feel we're only just getting movies that turn to women and be like, yo, it's all good. Because, as I said, even with The Breakfast Club, which seemed like, even though they all, like, you know, heterosexually got together with each other, woo, except the smart one, he's alone forever with his brain. They still had to give the, like, emo chick a fucking makeover, and then the, like, jock was like, it's a bit of a, and it's like, okay, yes, like, brilliant for its time, but kids today need things like Superstar. It's like, now we've put it in this context, it is so weirdly progressive and important in that way of, and especially targeting that age group where it's like, you will not think you can be dorky and weird and different. When you are 15, you are 100% allowed to be. Yeah. And you will probably have to rein that in when you're an adult, just a little bit, to sort of function in adult society. But when you're 15, you have absolutely no reason to not be batshit all of the time, because you have no responsibilities. I mean, obviously some 15-year-olds do, but, like, in an ideal world, a 15-year-old shouldn't have responsibilities and should just be allowed to express and find out who they are. And this movie does that. I love that she rejects Will Ferrell.
Yes!
Like, not even rejects it, because I kind of saw it coming. I was like, well, they've set it up with Slater now, so I guess we can't get with Will Ferrell. Yeah. But he comes to her anyway, and he makes out, and she's like, no, that wasn't great. Yeah. Like, she just tells it to him face. face. She rejects him, like, perfectly. She doesn't lie to him, and he goes away, and he sulks, because he's a man. And, And then she turns to her friend and she's like, oh my god, no, it was awful, it was so bad. And I'm like, fucking yes. And then she's like, I guess I'll just have to wait a little bit longer for that moment to happen. Like, I'm happy I did this for myself. I did it for my own confidence. And then the cherry on the top is that she'd built this relationship with Slater anyway, and he took it in his own hands to confidently come up to her, and they shared what they both wanted, and it was just so nice. And it's like Mean Girls. It's such a thing for teenagers that's clearly written by an adult that's trying to get these good messages out in this good way. Yeah, in a very subtle and progressive way, which is, it's like, oh, I'm glad that you saw that too. Yeah. I was like, I hope she sees it for what it is. Like, I didn't realize how much I took from Molly Shannon and from this movie, but, like, I would watch it all the time because I'd be going to school or something, and I'd be like, why don't I fit in? But Mary Katherine Gallagher, she figures out how to fit in. I'm going to watch her how she does it, you know, and I really brought that with me. I tried to. It's brilliant. brilliant. And I think what's really lovely about it is grounded in a reality of sorts, in that she is a normal human person going to high school and confronting those things.
Yeah.
When I was that age, I was definitely more watching those sort of escape, get out of this world and go to a different one. Mm-hmm. Which, whilst it's cool because it like Bridge to Terabithia's your problems away, where it's like, oh my god, just say Fantasia, who gives a shit about those kids that stole your lunch money? It doesn't bring it to the forefront as like this is the thing I need to address right now as a person in reality. It's like, it's fine because I'll go home and read Harry Potter. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like she's like, no, this is your life, Hans. Get out there.
Figure it out. Be you. Be you. Yeah.
It's so good. Like, it's not left my head, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of the reviews that I read from, like, the critics, like, Roger Ebert was like, oh, it's a ghastly movie with a terrible main character, blah, 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 blah.
Of course.
And I'm like, it's not for you,
yeah.
Mr. Old White Man. Ooh, how about we think about the target audience when we review movies? Maybe we should do that. I don't know. And I did the same. I came at it where I was like, okay, what's this movie about then? Okay, I don't get it. But then I was like... And I think as well it's because it was like, hey, remember when you were an idiot teenager and everything sucked? And I was like, I would not like to think about that, thank you.
Yeah, I have to suppress that memory.
Yeah, no more. So I think that's why I initially rejected it. But I have returned better and stronger for it. So I'm really glad that you picked it out, because it's such a strange little movie that it's never crossed my radar once.
Sure. There's no reason for it sometimes. It's a weird one. It's a wacky one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even you found it in your sort of like bargain bucket in the corner of a store. Yeah. So I mean, I was able to rent it from YouTube, so it's like which I couldn't do for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Weirdly.
What?
Right? It's like, oh, they'll have it everywhere. Impossible to find.
Because that's a gem. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's a gem.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Oh, I learned that this week.
Oh, good.
All of the sort of Blast from Our Past podcasts have been, like, bringing me into all of these movies I've never heard of or never, like, seen, and I've been like, ooh, this is fun.
Smart on you, though, to have, like, people not just in your area, because that really, like, broadens your horizons when it comes to your movie knowledge and just...
Definitely.
You know? Because that's your art, so that's cool that this is a cool idea for a podcast. Honestly, I was like, it's like simple, and it's actually very educational for you, like, you know?
Yeah, it can be kind of therapeutic as well. Like, I'm really starting to get fascinated with the sort of really deep digging of, like, how did this movie, like, make you as a person?
Sure.
Because, like, they do. Like, even little things where people talk about how they still quote those movies to this day. Like, that entered your language. I say things like Disney characters used to say things to this day. Like,
yeah.
And that's insane that it affects you in that way, and you'll take on attributes and you'll mimic ways people, I mean, I definitely used to mimic ways people dressed, which was stupid when you look back at the photographs, but I thought I looked brilliant dressed as Buffy the Vampire Slayer in Once More with Feeling.
That's not stupid. I think that's brilliant. You're like, I want to be a badass girl like her. I think I'll dress as Buffy. You have made no wrong choices. I don't understand why you're upset.
I mean, yeah, it's that's what I did. I would just copy what my heroes wore, even though it meant I was wearing, like, ill-fitted adult charity shop clothes on my, like, 14-year-old body. And I did it shamelessly. I didn't even know that I was potentially doing something, like, socially wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would just be like, well, I've dressed like Buffy the Vampire Slayer today, so I win, clearly.
Yeah. You just gotta find your tribe, man. There's a whole other group. You know, the probably the drama kids. Like, that was my group.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, theater.
100%.
Yeah.
Theatre kids are always the best, and you instantly get mixed in with all these different age groups as well, so they can, like, be like, have you heard of, like, Japanese animation? And I'm like, no, I'm like 13. You're like 16. Let's do this.
Tell me more. Yeah.
So it's brilliant, and it's all fundamentally what this movie's about. So genuinely do watch it. I would recommend watching a couple of her original SNL skits beforehand, just so you get an idea of what the character's about and what her sort of vibe is. So you are sort of on her side a lot more when you go in.
Sure.
But like it's a joy, and it's fun. It's so bright, and it's so like, that's so rare, especially these days. You don't get movies that are set in that almost cartoonish, just well lit. The sets are really like pretty. The costumes are really cute. Like their cheerleading outfits are like bright turquoise with the but with crucifixes on because they're in a Catholic school. Like really dumb things like that where you're just like, stupid.
But you love it. It adds all of it, right?
Exactly. It just it brings you into the weird world of this movie.
Well,
good.
I'm glad that you liked it. I'm glad that I could introduce you something new. There we go.
Yeah, no, 100%. I love it. I'm always, because you gave me a couple of choices, and this was the one that I hadn't seen, so I was like, that one, please.
Yes.
Because I always love being introduced to these new movies and seeing how they challenge me as an adult when they're made for children, because kids aren't stupid, and the media that's made for them is important. And I always find it really fun to go back and see if they made it with respect for their target audience, or whether they were just like, whatever, man.
Well, I mean, to your point, it's a testament that like we like the thesis of your podcast is like, how do you bring these movies with you? And it goes to show that this is any movie's made for kids, because it's not made for kids necessarily, but it will have an effect on kids, because they're trying to process it, and it gets stuck in the cog of processing, and sometimes they take it with them, and sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I used to watch every single movie from start to finish at least twice, and I would always remember all of it. Yeah. And if I couldn't do that to him, I remember the very first movie that I ever stopped watching halfway through was Shark Tale.
I wouldn't even watch that.
I was like, this is awful. This is disrespecting me as an audience member. And bear in mind, I'm like 12 at this point.
I feel
and I'm still like,
I
refuse to finish watching this absolute garbage. My sister's going to kill me if she ever hears this. It's one of my favourite movies of all time. But I distinctly remember it, and then from that point on I ended up making more conscious decisions about not watching things. So we watched Stuart Little in the cinema, but then when we got it on DVD I was like, I will not be rewatching that, because that will be a bad use of my time. And I still do it to this day. People are like, did you see Justice League? And I'm like, no, it's a bad movie, so I didn't bother. And they're like, it is a bad movie. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah, don't bother with that one.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. But this is a good one.
Okay. Good. I'm glad.
And look how deep our conversation has got. It's prompted really important things. I'm so glad. You say you were introducing it to your niece. Did she watch it, or have you just
when I watched it this morning, and I was like, Lucy needs to watch this. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be like, sit on this couch, kid. You're watching this. This is an educational film.
Yeah. This is part of your homework. Sit down. Shut up.
It'll be a test.
It should.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It is a 15, but I don't think it needs to be. It's probably purely for the sex references more than anything, because they don't particularly swear. It's not particularly violent.
Did you say what was the rating? I've never heard that rating before.
15.
15 is a rating?
Oh, I forget. The ratings are different.
I'm just curious. I want to learn something.
Yeah, so we go Universal Parental Guidance 12A in cinemas, and then you have a 15 and then an 18. So 15 and below, 15 and above can watch it, and then 18s are. So I guess 18 is R-rated.
Okay.
I don't think 15's quite a new one. It only came out 20 years ago, maybe.
Oh wow.
I think around the time of Batman 1989, that sort of movie where they were like, oh, well, it's not R-rated, but it's not parental guidance. So we don't know what to do. And like The Dark Knight should have been a 15, but wasn't, because they wanted to get that dollar. Because it was like so violent, and it's that sort of like, I think you're allowed like a couple of fucks, you're allowed some sex references, and you're allowed some like bloody violence, but we're not talking like Deadpool level of swearing and that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
I think so. Yeah, I should probably look up the ratings more and compare them to the US ones.
No, that's good to know.
What's the rating in America then?
Well, it starts at G, which is like kids, and then PG, which is probably like 7 to 12, and then PG-13, and then R. So it's only like four letters.
Oh, so there's like no... So I guess, is PG-13...
13 and up.
Like...
13 is... PG-13 is like... Have you ever seen the movie Scream? Like the Halloween movie? It's like that is a pretty secure PG-13. Even though... Yeah. There's not a whole lot... It's like PG-13 is like... It's like, oh, that's pretty mature. Even though it says 13 and up. But, I mean, obviously R is... They could put whatever they want in there. And then after that is NC-17. But I don't even watch NC-17 films. You don't want to watch those. Like, those are gross.
So like a Serbian film and whatever, like... Hostile kind of vibe.
Graphic, yeah.
Gross. Yeah. That's really interesting. So I guess the closest is... Because we have 12, which is obviously 12 and up. And then a 12A is just a rating for cinema, because a 12A means that you can go in if you're under 12, as long as you have a parent with you.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, which is bizarre, because parental guidance is that sort of like 5 to 11, I guess. But it's also like... You know, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is parental guidance, so I probably wouldn't have been able to handle it as a kid, but I know that the guys I spoke to the other day were perfectly able to handle it as like 7, 9-year-olds, whereas I wouldn't have been able to. So, and it would have been up to my parents to be like, Emily be having nightmares if she watched this, so not gonna happen.
She's a Disney kid, she's sensitive.
Yeah, very sensitive. And it's the same with 12A, so like... Titanic's a 12, and then, like, I think The Two Towers was, like, a 12A in cinemas, I think, where it's, like, if your parents think you're cool with it, you can go see it, but you probably shouldn't.
Gotcha.
That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah, I'm learning so much.
Yeah,
the more you know.
Cool. Awesome.
Amazing. Do you want to talk more about Ongoing Comic Book Discussion Podcast? Tell us where we can find you.
You can find OCD Podcast at OCD Podcast on Instagram mainly, but we're also on Facebook. It's Ongoing Comic Book Discussion Podcast on there. If you just type it in, you'll find it. And you can find, if you ever wanted to find me or Corey on there, because Corey was on here. Our handles are on the OCD page. But yeah, it's a podcast about comic books. Sometimes we do movies based on comic books. And
nice.
Yeah, Corey's the expert and I'm the rookie, and I'm slowly catching up to him, but I'm learning a lot. It's really good discussion, because it's like he's been reading it for years, and then I'll have just read it, and I may bring something new or have a question, or like just trying to figure out, story plots or anything like that. So it's a good time if you're a nerd or if you're not a nerd. So even if you're new to comic books, just come on over. We'll teach you something new.
That's really cool. So were you like, hey, I want to start reading comic books. What should I start with? And did it sort of spring from there?
That's a good question. Actually, his wife and my husband work together. And so then they were like, he was like, hey, you should meet Myra. And I was like, okay. And we met Myra, and then I met Corey at the same time. And then all four of us, we call it a very fast summer romance. We started last summer. We spent like every single weekend together. We just loved hanging out, the four of us, all the time. And then I was over at Corey's house we all were over at Corey Myra's house. And I was like, hey, you want to start a comic book podcast? He's like, yeah, I do. And I was like, I wasn't joking. I was just like, wouldn't it be funny if? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. You want to start on Monday? What should we call it? I was like, dang, okay, ready, set, go. But I'm glad he did that, because if he didn't just say ready, set, go, I would have been here like, I don't know.
Pondering like, Yeah. Always just dive in. That's what I did. I was like, I don't want to do it on YouTube, so I guess I'll do it on audio. What's audio these days? Podcast? Brilliant. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's so cool. So what are you on right now? Do you just follow one particular strand? Do you do both Marvel, DC? And I'm sure there's many more comic book.
Yeah.
I'm a novice.
No, it's okay. You should listen in. It's really fun. It's funny because comic books were really targeted towards women. Excuse me. Let me rephrase that. Comic books were not targeted towards women at all, but they were picked up by women because I don't know why, but we loved the medium so much, but we were really shoved out. And it became more of a guy's thing, which is fine. And there's some great comic book writers who can write women really well, and there's some that just do it for the sake of their own pleasure. And it's kind of just I think that women are really getting back into comic books and being like, oh dang, this is actually a pretty cool medium. It's not movies where you need like $1 million budget. You just need to know how to draw and how to write, and it's
cool.
Splitting the difference between reading and watching a movie, and it's great. I forgot your original question, but we do everything. We review the first volume of an entire series to kind of just get you into it, and hopefully you'll read on from there, or we catch you up. We like to do a lot of reviews. We just did a Joker movie review. We did the Mandalorian review. But yeah, we have a lot of fun over there. It's a good time.
Amazing. I've got so many of you lined up, and I just need to get through all of the different episodes. I'm very excited, and
good.
A lot of graphic novels, not many comic books, because scared I would get way too into it and then have to justify paying for them every week. So
hey, you don't have to. There's an app called Hoopla. Yeah, all you have to do is put in your library card, and they have a crap ton of free comic books on there. Yeah, there's a lot at your library probably as well.
Oh, I doubt it. I'm currently in a very small village, market town in Suffolk.
Are you really? That's so cool.
It's like Hot Fuzz Land.
Is it? Oh, where it's like the worst thing that can happen is the I don't know, the fire.
Crusty jugglers, yeah.
Nothing crazy, like a theft of a muffin from a bakery kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Hey, we should do like the Holiday. That movie, The Holiday. I think
oh my god! Yes.
Let's switch for a Christmas.
Yes. I will hold you to that. I will do a story and be like, let's do it Monday.
Yeah. Ready? When's Christmas?
That's so exciting. Yes. Are you in LA specifically?
Yes. I can see Hollywood, the Hollywood mountain from here. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Can everyone? Was it like specifically put so like wherever you are in LA, you can make sure to see the Hollywood sign, or is it just where you're situated?
It's the Hollywood sign. I'm actually on the other side of that mountain, so I just know that that's right where it is. But yeah, nice. It's called Griffith Park is the mountain. It's a beautiful, gorgeous place, and Hollywood literally faces Hollywood. And Hollywood's actually where my husband and I met 10 years ago.
How romantic.
Yes. And we love it. I was just there last night with my mom eating Thai food at this rock and roll Thai restaurant.
Oh my God.
So if you ever come to California, I'll show you around. You know what I mean?
I'm genuinely intending to. Now that I know all of you, I'm like going to be using it as an excuse to be like, I'm coming to the US.
Yes.
Take me
tour?
Yeah. Show me everything.
Come on.
And same with you. Come on down to London, and I'll be like, "That's Big Ben." There it is.
There it is. I love London. I've only been there once for 3 days, and it stole my heart. Oh.
I am glad to hear that. Tourist London, and even non-tourist London, when you're there briefly, is nice. But if you're there too long, your snot gets black, and it's just nasty. But yeah.
Is it raining? Oh yeah. Is it raining right now? It's always raining.
Almost definitely. It has been most of the day. Just like grey and foggy. And it'll be like that until about the 13th of July. Then it might be sunny for a day, and then it will start going into winter weather again.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's how England works.
It's just sunny. I love it. It's so sunny and bright and hot here. Well, not rainy, that's kind of cool. You're like, yes, I want that. But like rainy days, people will call out of work sick. And be like, I'm staying home to watch a movie. And, like, being home, watching a movie, or reading a book when it's raining outside, it's, like, a luxury here. We love it.
That's that. When it's like properly raining and you don't have any commitments and you can just like wrap up inside. Don't get me wrong, I love that. But when every day is just generic misery and you do have to go out and do things, you're just like all the time. So,
I can imagine. We have to flip flop. Yeah.
Yeah. Much rather have the sun.
That's funny.
But oh my goodness, thank you so much for coming on. This has been an absolute pleasure to meet and talk to you.
Oh, it's so great to meet you too. It's funny how the universe works, man. It's awesome. Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been so much fun. And I'm genuinely going to be watching this movie again.
Oh, good.
And also, like, showing it to my friends. Because I was texting one of them and I was like, I don't know, man. And now I'm going to be like, I lied. It was brilliant.
Good. I'm glad.
But yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much to my guest. And thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time on Why This Film. Bye!
We watched the
film and we talked about it, but now it's time to say goodbye. We'll be back again with another movie that makes you wanna ask why.